The sun blazed hot over the village, its heat unbearable. Crops withered under the unrelenting sky, and the earth cracked open in long, painful lines. The people whispered of the coming end. "We need the rains," the elders said, "but they are distant." Elder Alana, whose gray hair spoke of many years lived, knew it wasn't just the rain they needed. There was something deeper at play. The whispering rocks had been silent for too long, and she feared they had forgotten them. Alana sat in the council hall, listening to the murmurs of worry. The tribe's leaders were frantic, offering desperate solutions. "Perhaps the ancestors have abandoned us," one of them suggested. But Alana knew it wasn't true. The rocks had never abandoned them before. She stood, her voice calm but firm. "I will go to the Whispering Rocks," she declared. "If the land is to survive, I must seek their counsel." The others exchanged wary glances. "You will not go alone," said Chief Caro, but Alana shook her head. With only a few provisions, Alana set out at dawn. The journey was long, the earth dry beneath her feet, but her resolve was stronger than the parched land. As she walked, she thought of her people. Her ancestors had made this journey, and so would she. The path to the Whispering Rocks was treacherous, a climb through steep hills and dense forests. The trees whispered warnings, but Alana's heart beat steady. She had heard the stories since childhood. Now she would see if they were true. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Alana had made camp beneath a cluster of ancient oaks. The night air was cool, but the stars shone brightly above. She spoke quietly to the fire, offering her prayers. She could hear the wind rustling through the leaves, almost like voices on the wind. "Tomorrow," she whispered to herself. "Tomorrow, the Whispering Rocks will speak to me." The second day was harder than the first. The sun rose hot and relentless, and Alana's water supplies dwindled. She stopped only to rest for a few moments, pushing forward despite the physical toll. The rocks were near. As the landscape began to change, she saw the first signs of the Whispering Rocks. The massive stones rose from the earth like giants, weathered by time but still standing strong, waiting for her arrival. Alana stood at the base of the rocks, gazing up at their towering figures. They seemed to pulse with an ancient energy, the air thick with the promise of untold secrets. The rocks, she knew, were not just stones. They were the keepers of time itself. As she approached, the wind grew stronger, swirling around her. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. "I am here," she whispered, her voice carrying on the wind. Alana placed her hand upon the largest stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the rocks began to hum, the sound low at first, then louder. It was as if the stones themselves were awakening. Suddenly a voice, soft and ethereal, whispered in her ear, "You seek answers, but the truth comes at a cost." The air around her shimmered, and Alana felt a cold chill run through her body. Alana stepped back, heart racing. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. The wind howled as the stones hummed louder, each whisper carrying with it a weight of sorrow. "The truth you seek will not be easy," the rocks whispered. "It will change everything." Alana's breath caught in her throat. The rocks were offering her the knowledge she needed. But at what cost? The stones shifted, revealing images from long ago. A village thriving under the sun, now abandoned and forgotten. A tribe once powerful, reduced to dust. Alana's ancestors, her people, had once made a terrible mistake. The rocks whispered, "Your people are cursed. A sin from the past must be undone before the drought can end." Alana's heart sank. What had her ancestors done to bring this upon them? The answers were more complicated than she had imagined. Alana knelt before the rocks, her mind racing. The whispers were clearer now, revealing the true nature of the curse. A sacrifice must be made, the rocks told her. A life for a life. She gasped, her hands trembling. The drought, the pain of her people, all of it was tied to a long-forgotten choice. She had to make a decision. Could she save her people, or was the price too high? Alana spent the night at the rocks, praying for guidance. The next morning the whispers returned. The path is clear, but you must face your greatest fear, the rocks warned. Alana stood tall, her resolve hardening. She had already lost so much. She had to be the one to face the past. It was the only way to break the curse and end the suffering of her people. Alana's heart was heavy, but she knew what she must do. As she made her way back to her village, Alana was not alone. Shadows moved in the periphery of her vision, following her every step. The whispers had not only revealed the past, but awakened forces long dormant. She had learned the truth, but now she had to fight to protect it. The unseen enemy, the one who had cursed her people, was drawing near, and Alana was determined to face them head-on. The village greeted Alana with silence. Word had spread of her journey, and many wondered what she had learned. She stood before them, the weight of the rock's wisdom heavy on her shoulders. "My people," she began, her voice steady. "I have uncovered the truth. But the cost may be more than we can bear." Alana spoke of the curse that had been placed upon her people, of the wrongs committed by their ancestors. The tribe listened in shock, their faces pale with disbelief. The burden was not just Alana's to bear, it was theirs as well. "We have all been bound by this curse," Alana said, "but there is a way to break it. We must face the past and make things right." The people nodded, their faces grim. But would they be strong enough to do what was needed? A meeting was called with the elders. Alana explained what the rocks had revealed. A sacrifice must be made to end the drought, but it was a choice that none could take lightly. The council debated the path forward, torn between fear and hope. Finally, Chief Caro spoke. "The land is dying. We cannot turn away from this. The decision was made. The tribe would have to act, but who would be willing to make the sacrifice?" The news of the sacrifice spread quickly through the village, and fear began to take root. People whispered of who might be chosen, and the elders remained silent, waiting for the chosen one to step forward. Alana knew that the time for fear was over. There would be no turning back. She gathered the tribe together at dawn, standing before them with solemn determination. "The sacrifice must be made by one who is willing to give everything for the good of the people," Alana declared. "It is not just a life. It is a redemption of the land." As Alana spoke, her gaze fell upon a young man in the crowd, Lyle, the son of a farmer. His face was ashen with fear, but his eyes held something deeper, something Alana recognized. It was the willingness to sacrifice, even if he didn't yet understand the weight of it. Lyle stepped forward, his hands trembling. "I will do it," he said, his voice quiet but resolute. "If it means saving the tribe, I will give my life." The people gasped, and Alana's heart tightened. He was brave, but was he truly ready to make the ultimate sacrifice? The tribe prepared for the ceremony, gathering everything needed for the sacrifice. The air was thick with tension, and even the earth seemed to hold its breath. Alana guided Lyle to the sacred place where the ceremony would take place, the same site where her ancestors had once made their own sacrifices. Lyle, despite his fear, stood tall. He had no idea what awaited him, but Alana saw the courage in his eyes. The rocks whispered to her, their voices almost drowned by the pounding of her own heart. "The time is near," they warned. The ceremony began at dusk, as the first star appeared in the sky. Alana's heart was heavy as she stood beside Lyle, preparing to complete the ritual. She had learned much from the rocks, but she still did not fully understand the depth of the curse. As the ritual unfolded, Alana's mind wandered to the past. What had her people done to deserve such a fate? The curse had been born from a betrayal, an ancient wrong that needed to be righted. And now, the past was coming full circle. The truth would be revealed, but it was too late for regrets. As the ritual reached its peak, the wind howled and the rocks began to hum once more. Their voices were louder now, as if the earth itself was speaking. The air shimmered with an energy that made Alana's skin tingle. In the midst of the ceremony, a new whisper reached her ears. It was a voice she recognized. "Alana, the sacrifice is not what you think," the voice said. "It is not the life of one, but the life of many. The tribe must choose to sacrifice its pride, its past, and its greed." Alana's heart skipped a beat. The sacrifice was not just one life. It was the entire tribe's way of living. Would they be willing to change everything for the sake of survival? The winds picked up, the air crackling with tension. Alana's eyes widened as the truth hit her like a thunderclap. The curse had not just been placed upon the tribe because of one wrong. It was the result of years of selfishness, of ignoring the balance with nature. The sacrifice was not just about a single person's death. It was about giving up the ways of the past, the greed, the hunger for power, the neglect of the land. The tribe must change, or the curse would never lift. With the truth now revealed, Alana called for a council meeting. The village gathered, their faces filled with disbelief. The idea of changing the way they had always lived was daunting. Some cried out in anger, while others remained silent, lost in thought. "We have lived as we always have, but we can no longer ignore the truth," Alana said. "The earth has given us everything, but we have taken too much. It is time for us to give back, to change our ways." The decision to change was not easy. Many resisted, unwilling to let go of the past. "What will become of us?" they asked. "How can we survive without the old ways?" But Alana remained firm. She had seen the path forward, and though it was uncertain, it was the only path that would bring the rains and restore balance. Slowly the tribe began to agree, though there were still many who doubted. The tribe's first step toward change was difficult. They began by changing their farming methods, moving away from over-extraction and learning to live in harmony with the land. It was a struggle, but the earth began to respond. The soil seemed to soften, the air fresher. Alana watched as the people worked together, their faces filled with determination. The change had begun, but it would take time. The drought was not over, but there was hope. For the first time in a long while, the tribe felt a sense of unity. As the tribe worked to rebuild their connection with the land, the winds began to shift. The air grew cooler, the sky less harsh. For the first time in months, Alana felt a glimmer of hope. The rocks, too, had begun to whisper once again, their voices softer now. The first signs of rain began to appear on the horizon, faint clouds gathering in the distance. The drought was far from over, but the tribe had made the first step toward redemption. The earth, it seemed, was willing to forgive. Weeks passed, and the clouds grew darker. The people worked tirelessly, and their efforts were finally rewarded. One evening, as the sun set, a gentle rain began to fall. It was not a flood, but a steady, life-giving rain. The crops began to grow, and the earth seemed to breathe again. The tribe gathered to celebrate, their voices lifting in song. Alana stood at the edge of the village, looking out over the land. She knew the rain was not just a gift. It was a sign that the curse had been lifted, but only because the tribe had learned to change. The years that followed were marked by renewal. The tribe flourished, living in balance with nature. Alana's people had learned to listen to the earth, to honor the rocks and the whispers of the past. They had become stewards of the land, not its conquerors. But Alana never forgot the journey, the sacrifice, and the lessons learned. She knew that the whispering rocks had saved them, but it was the tribe's willingness to change that had truly made the difference. As Alana grew older, she passed the mantle of leadership to the next generation. The tribe no longer lived in fear of the drought, and the land had returned to its former glory. But Alana knew that her time was coming to an end. One quiet evening, surrounded by those she loved, Alana closed her eyes for the last time. She had fulfilled her purpose, and her people would carry on the legacy of balance she had helped restore. The legend of Alana and the Whispering Rocks lived on for generations. The tribe passed down stories of the wise elder who had saved them from the drought, and of the sacrifices made to restore harmony with the earth. The rocks continued to whisper, their voices guiding the tribe as they honored the land and their ancestors. They knew that the whispers would never cease, as long as they listened and lived in balance with the earth. Time passed and the tribe flourished, always mindful of the lesson learned. The earth, though it would go through cycles of drought and abundance, would always be there, waiting for them to remember their place within it. And the whispering rocks, though silent to most, would always guide those who listened with open hearts. The tribe had found peace, not in the absence of hardship, but in their willingness to change and grow. And as long as the rocks whispered, the tribe would endure. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and subscribe for more tales from the heart of the earth.